Hi, I'm Chris Martenson of Peak Prosperity, and it is Friday, December 18th, 2015. Listen, a lot is going on in the world. Of course, we had the biggest rate decision ever from the Fed this past week. Actually, it was just a couple days ago. It was on Wednesday. The market, the Dow, was up 700 points in anticipation and exuberance around that rate decision. It's now down 600 from that same high. The markets are trying to figure this out, but if you're watching the headline markets, if you're just watching what's really happening at the top of the market, you won't really understand what's happening truly, because underneath, when you look at the transports, when you look at which stocks are moving up versus which are moving down, there is a whole lot of big money tiptoeing away from this market, leaving the headlines looking relatively intact. It's a classic distribution ploy. Wall Street's getting ready to pull the football away again, and oh, the poor small investor is about to take a nice running kick at empty air one more time. That's how the game is supposed to work. And I've got a piece out, one-parter, an insider that came out just a few days ago, where I said, look, this really feels like it. It feels like the top, to me, is in at this point because of all sorts of things, right? Heightened geopolitical tension, seeing the absolute destruction of prices in the energy space, particularly in the U.S., natural gas at $1.73 the other day. Now it's still $1.78 today. That is an amazing price. On an inflation-adjusted basis, it's never been that low. Never. So what are all these companies who need $5 and $6 in order to break even? How do you think they're doing at $1.78? They are destroying capital. Same with the oil companies, particularly the shale oil companies. Massive destruction in that space. But those are just a couple of commodities. We look at copper, we look at coal, and we look at cement, iron ore. We see just destruction across the whole commodity space. Thank you, central banks, for all the thin air, free, cheap money that you've injected. It created a lot of difficulties. Those are just starting to play out. Now, listen, shameless self-plug time, and not actually, you know why it's shameless? Because I don't have any shame telling you that this book right here has been doing really, really well. It's available on Amazon now, finally, and not just doing well in sales, but the reviews we've been getting. People have been talking to me, emailing me, leaving the reviews on Amazon. This is a great book that I'm very proud of. Adam and I did a wonderful job adding up everything that we know about how to become resilient and how to really begin to add true abundance and true diversification into your lives. So if you know somebody who's kind of on the fence, who maybe is looking for a little nudge, somebody you know who's just starting to understand that the world has maybe got a few risks in it, that maybe it isn't going to be all rainbows and unicorns going forward, that person, this is the book, was written for them. It's not fear-based. It's very commonsensical. It's got a lot of positive things in it, even though it's realistic. So this book has a variety of things, and if I haven't talked about it before, what we've done is there's a couple of permaculture guys out there, Ethan Rowland and Gregory Landua, and they talked about how in permaculture they had designed a set of thinking, a system thinking around this idea that there's not just financial capital, that's a capital form we're all familiar with, but there are multiple forms of capital. And Adam and I had been using those various forms of capital already in our seminars for years, but there was a great framing, so we adopted that. Full credit to those guys for developing a frame that we love, so we've adopted it into this book. Think of financial capital as a form of capital that we're all familiar with, we understand it. We spend a good amount of time in this book talking about how to keep that form safe, how to even grow that, ways that you might want to consider increasing your financial capital. But then we take that and say, listen, once you've got your financial capital set, well, then what? Well, take a piece of that, take a chunk, 20%, 10%, 25%, depends, and put that into some of these other forms of capital. Here's an example, living capital. Living capital is the abundance and natural systems that exist around you outside. It's nature, it's the deep soil you have in your garden, it's increasing the abundance and types of pollinators and pollinating species that are out there in your local environments. It's your own body and your own health. Well, you can easily take financial capital, buy compost, put it in your garden, make your soil richer. That's transferring one form of capital to another. Or take some financial capital and get yourself that CrossFit gym membership like Adam did, and he's in the best shape of his life right now because of that. So that's an example of transferring one form of capital, money, into other forms of capital. We talk about social capital. We talk about material capital, which could be the solar systems you've got or the tools you've bought. We talk about knowledge capital, and another one is emotional capital. Now that is actually one of the most important ones that exists in this book. Why? Because you could be rich in every other form of capital, but if you are going to fall apart the minute that the wider world begins to fall apart, and trust me, there is an economic storm coming that is going to leave most people paralyzed and unable to effectively respond. And it means that it's really not going to be the economic consequences that are going to hurt these people as much as it's going to be their own responses to it. These people are not going to be able to respond appropriately. They'll miss opportunities when they come up. They'll cling to old things they should be releasing earlier and sooner. Many of them are going to check out. They're going to check out by drinking too much, sleeping too little, eating too much, playing too many video games, doing everything except taking advantage of what's happening, taking control of their lives, and stepping positively into this new future. So this gives you a flavor of the kinds of things that we've got in this book. I'm really proud of it, and there's still time, if you wanted to get this in hands of people for Christmas. So there's the shameless plug. I think this is a great book, and I'm really happy with it. So what author shouldn't plug their own book at least once? So that's my plug for today. And I want you to know that things that we are discussing at the site right now are really, really topical, very important. We really believe that the economy is about to send some really strong shockwaves through the financial markets. The reason for that is everywhere we look in the world, we see deflation, we see economic hardship coming. It's coming towards the center, that being the United States and the other Western markets. So keep an eye out for that. Come on by Peak Prosperity, check it out. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to this channel right here. And again, there's a lot of discussion going around on our site about the things in this book. Of course, this will be a big topic for the coming year. With that, I don't know if I'll see you again before the holidays. Happy holidays, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.